and welcome everybody to the Big Sarge Show. This is a Redcon One media production, www.redcon1media.com. Tonight, we're talking about something that a lot of people are thinking, but not a lot of people are willing to say out loud. Jeffrey Epstein is dead. That part is settled. He was a convicted sex offender. He was connected to very powerful people, politicians, business leaders, celebrities, you name it. That's not the speculation here. That's what's documented. His associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, however you pronounce that, is sitting in prison right now for her role in this operation. So we know without question that Epstein didn't act alone. And that's where the questions begin. Because if there was a network, if there were victims, if there were powerful connections, hopefully I'm sounding good out there, everybody, then why, years later, does it feel like the story just stopped? It just stopped. Why haven't we seen more arrests? Why are the documents still heavily redacted? Why does the public feel like something just doesn't add up? Tonight, we're not here to throw out like wild conspiracy theories or wild accusations and or name people without evidence. That's not what we do here. We're the Big Sarge Show. We're forged in fire, proven in truth, proven by truth. What we are here to do is break this down, fact by fact, reality by reality, and ask the question that hasn't gone away. If this was big, as we were told from the very beginning, the number one question that I have, where is the accountability? This is the Big Sarge Show. And tonight, we're going straight at it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Barbara, I see ya. Gypsy, I see ya, a.k.a. Mom. Leslie, how you doing? Barbarian King. Hey, Drew, what's going on? How you doing? And then Barbara says, hi. Hi, King. How you doing? And Mom says, hey, Barbara. Go ahead and make sure you share this show out. Get everybody back in here that was in here the other night. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. Now, this show gets broken down into like little AI links. Or I won't say AI links, but little short videos. That's what I meant to say, short videos. And I post those short videos out. And they've been getting a lot of traction lately. My first video almost got 3,000 views. The second one, almost 1,000. But what I need you to do right now, if you haven't already, I need you to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to catch the shows, hit the bell. Okay, that'll give you the notification if you have the phone on your app. If you have the phone, or if you have the a notification set on your desktop, it will give you the notification as soon as we go live. And I need to get to 1,000 subscribers so I can start taking advantage of a lot of the live features that they have here on YouTube. So help me get there, ladies and gentlemen. I can't do it without you. And remember, share the show. Okay. So let's get into it. So segment one, we're going to break this down into segments. This is what we actually know. This is where we establish that these are the facts. Okay. This is what we know about this whole Epstein thing. We know his criminal history. Okay. Now, I only got one topic tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I didn't segue into that. I only got one topic tonight. We're going to talk about this. And I'm going to break it down into 4 or 5 sections. Then I'm going to give my conclusion at the end. Now, I'm going to bring both sides of the fence here, for and against. And as always here, we're only going to present facts and present truth. All right. No conspiracy theories, no wild, outrageous lies or anything like that. So what we know about his criminal history. 2008. He made a plea deal in Florida, which was widely criticized by people that were surrounding him, or at least the local legislatures and the people, the victims. So he made a plea deal. He pled out. Okay. At that time, the notorious pedophile island was still going on. Okay. So nobody closed it down. So keep this in mind. All right. And then at 2019, federal charges were brought up before his quote unquote suicide. We know that Ghislaine Maxwell, she was convicted of trafficking minors. She's in jail as we speak. She's serving a long federal sentence. She is a felon. This confirms one thing, this is another fact. This confirms one thing, that multiple actors were involved in this scandal. Okay? There were civil lawsuits brought up. Numerous victims, they came forward. Some settlements. There were some settlements in the cases, and then there weren't some settlements in the cases. All right, but a lot of the cases were kind of brushed under the rug and kind of paid off with that money. Okay, again, these are the facts, ladies and gentlemen. These are the facts. Okay. The flight logs. All right. I want to say something about the flight logs. That's probably one of the most important pieces of evidence in this whole thing. And the flight logs had a lot of information and a lot of evidence that were presented to the authorities, the FBI, the current administration's FBI as well. And there's a lot to be questioned about that, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But the flight logs and the associations, we know that publicly documented names exist inside that flight log. Important distinction about this. Being listed is also not proof of a crime. Just because you were on that list doesn't mean you did anything bad. Of course, the burden of proof lies on the prosecution to prove that those people that were on there did something bad. Now, with that said, again, the whole innocent until proven guilty thing, even though mounds of evidence, it shows you that we're not guessing anymore. You know, there's documented evidence of a network. We have no doubt in our mind that this has and had existed. The island, the photographs, everything, even the redacted stuff. There was some of the redacted emails. I went through the mounds and mounds and mounds of emails, and it got so disgusting and so scary that, you know, all you can do is shake your head and wonder, why aren't these people being brought up on indictments? Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But documentation and prosecution are two very different things. I don't know why. Hey, Debbie, how are you? I don't know why they're not prosecuting. Maybe some people in the chat can share their hypotheses on this. I'm not sure why they haven't indicted anybody yet. I'm not sure why, other than, of course, Ghislaine and Epstein. Those are the only two indictments, so to speak, that have came out. Excuse me. And one has been convicted. Well, actually, one has been convicted. So that's the facts, ladies and gentlemen. You can't dispute the facts. You can't dispute the truth. The reality of the situation is, we know something happened. We got evidence, mounds and mounds of it. You know, there's one thing that I keep hearing people say all the time, and Fraud Gino, I call Dan Bongino, I call him Fraud Gino. He says this a lot as well. You know, he says, well, we don't, there's no proof. There's no definitive proof. Well, yeah, there is. There's a logbook that has names in it. Start there. You have a crap ton of emails. You have a crap ton of pictures and video evidence, and just, there's victims coming forth. I mean, numerous victims. And yet, nothing is being done. This administration ran on this. This administration ran on the precipice of, we are going to deliver these pedophiles to justice. We are the only country. Well, I wouldn't say the only country. Now, I'll redact that. We are one of the countries, one of the major countries that haven't brought any indictments. What are we waiting on? Now, We were told also with the current administration and the FBI, which at the time was the deputy director, Fraugino, that, we lied. We were mistaken. There's really no evidence to support anything about the Epstein files were real and that there was nothing happening going on. What do you mean there was nothing happening going on? I mean, come on. Did you not read the same emails that I read? Did you not see some of the same stuff that I seen about children being mutilated, about children being raped and some, I probably shouldn't use that word on YouTube. I might get banned. So let me say that children were hurt. Okay. Many children were hurt. Minors were hurt. Lots of children were hurt. And nobody is given a crap or given a shit about this. And it's disgusting. It's utterly disgusting what I had seen and how Fraugino can sit there and spew his rhetoric, still spew his rhetoric on his waves because he quit. Don't get that wrong. He stood down and he quit. He gave up his position, whatever his, I don't know, whatever his reasonings were on that. You're right, Debbie. The connections do go deep. Gypsy said it pisses her off too. It pisses me off as well, Gypsy. So this is where we are. That was the first segment. Already down 15 minutes on the first segment. This is probably won't go an hour tonight. I only have one topic to discuss, and it's the Epstein files. You know, this pisses me off, ladies and gentlemen. It makes me angry that I got to sit here day in and day out and listen to and just see the evil that goes on in this world. Can something good happen for a change? You know what I mean? Can something great happen? It's almost like, and I know this is kind of an off-topic discussion here, but it's almost as like they want the rapture to happen. It's almost like they're ushering in the end of days. And I don't get that. What's up, Chris? Welcome to the show. Nice to see you, man. Make sure Kevin gets this as well. I'm not sure why they don't, why they want that to happen. The only thing I can think of, and the main conspiracy theorists say this, and again, this is a conspiracy theory, this isn't fact, but one of the things that they say that the theorists are saying is that because they want this one world government, this new world order that they've been talking about for centuries to come to fruition. That very well may happen if this continues to happen. Gypsy says, Sarge, why can't anyone see me in chat? I see you just fine in chat. I'm not sure why. I see you in chat. During that, I'm not sure why. Maybe it's on your end, Gypsy, but I see you just fine. So segment 2, all right. Why more arrests may not have happened. This is kind of the reality check of the situation here, okay? And I want to be adamant that, you know, I'm trying to deal. I've done a lot of research on this. Okay, I've been doing research for months and months on this, and even though these barriers, this reality check that we're trying to put on people to make it more aware, because we shouldn't forget about any of this. It's the American people. You know what? I won't say American people. I'm going to say human beings in general, especially these days, have the attention span of a gnat. All right. They can't stay focused on one thing. They got to go to this one and go to that one and go to that one and go over there, go over there. And their focus is all over the place that they forget about what was going on over here, i.e. the Epstein files. Now Iran is the big thing. We're going to the war with Iran to forget the Epstein files. So segment 2, why more arrests may not have happened. All right. Again, this is a big kind of reality check here. You know, there's the key legal, I guess, barriers or battles in this is the burden of proof. Okay. Criminal cases require proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And maybe even if they see that there has been a ledger and they see that there has been, we already know that Bill Clinton was there because he was painted on the wall with a dress. And I mean, whatever, Bill, you know, you do you, but we already know he was there. Did you see his reaction during the questioning? Oh goodness. When they laid the victims' faces or pictures down in front of him, he was giggling like a little 3-year-old kid, or like a 3-year-old, like a teenager. He was giggling like a teenager. He was going crazy. You could tell that something wasn't right about that man. Of course, we all know the whole Monica Lewinsky thing, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, you're right. Gypsy says, we've heard of Bill's ties to the island for well over a decade, and yet neither him or Hillary have been indicted. So the burden of proof, again, it's beyond a reasonable doubt. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's the main problem. Maybe they've covered their tracks so much other than what the victims come out, and it's basically their word against the victims. And I'm sure that they're going to have people that will be able to verify their whereabouts at certain times and certain instances and so on and so forth. So the burden of proof has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. And that may be probably the number one barrier to any key legal actions coming out on that. Testimony alone, especially decades later, it can be difficult to sustain because you may not remember what happened 10 years ago to the T. Not to mention that a very traumatic experience can block out a lot of things that have happened to you during that experience. So trauma it plays a huge part in a legal the burden of proof. Okay, I mean a lot of the folks that have come forward, they can't recount exactly, but they know that they were there and they know things have happened to them. A lot of them are going through some therapy. Yeah, you're right, Debbie. Debbie says Bill has been in practice with covering up things for decades. Isn't that the truth? I did not have sexual relations with that woman. We all know that. All right. Time and evidence degradation. All right, let's be honest. Over time, I'm sure they were able to cover their tracks on a lot of things. Fortunately, we got a hold of some things and we were able to go to Epstein Island and actually see the things. We were able to get some of the emails, not to mention some of those people have passed away. A lot of those people in those emails have already passed away. So there is that. Some of the physical evidence may no longer exist. I mean, if you go there and the only physical evidence we really have is the book and the emails and the highly redacted emails, mind you, and Epstein Island itself, which was very, very clean. And then, of course, witnesses' memories can be challenging and can be challenged in court because what you remember as a 14-year-old may be different than what you remember as a 24 or 34-year-old. And this island has been going on for many years. So again, the burden of proof has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. So these are some things that may be occurring, and this is why the process is too long. Or maybe they decided that it was going to be too lengthy and too hard to try to find out the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, that they're just giving up. That also may be a part of this reality check. Gypsy says, I'm getting extremely tired of waiting for justice, especially for the young victims. I agree 100%, Gypsy. I agree 100%. Statute of limitations. Yeah, believe it or not, there are statute of limitations. Limitations does come into effect, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we can't dispute that fact. Some of the alleged crimes may fall outside of the prosecutable windows. And again, it depends on jurisdiction. It depends on timing of the law. The law changes. We all know the law changes constantly. So it all depends on what the law states now compared to then. But the statute of limitations really does play a huge role in this. And this is very unfortunate because that puts the burden of proof on the prosecutor to be even more of a hard beyond the reasonable doubt kind of proof to present to the Justice Department, or even to present for some indictments. So keep that in mind. And of course, victims' challenges, like I talked about before, trauma, fear, public scrutiny. Okay, that can limit participation. Let's talk about that, because people are scared to come forward because they know these people are powerful. They know these people have far reach, and they're scared. They're terrified. that trauma lives with you for years. That trauma sticks with you for years. And not to mention that these are some of the most powerful people in the world. That's scary. That is scary, especially for somebody that was a minor and had went through something like that, a very traumatic experience. And a lot of these people didn't grow up to do great, wonderful things or become rich or so on and so forth. And so the constraints of getting a lawyer and yada yada yada, going against all these powerful people is a huge barrier to trying to get the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Christopher says people are frustrated. The Epstein files, all the fraud, Islamic takeover, all this happening and nothing being done. And Gypsy says, yeah, it sticks with you your entire life. She's 110% correct on that. And some cases, if not all of them, will rely on the cooperation of the victims. Okay. That they just may not materialize. Okay. I got my notes down in front of me. I'm trying to look at my notes as I go here. Prior legal agreements. I mean, think about it. Some of these Epstein earlier deals may complicate certain prosecutions, like the people that have already been quote unquote paid off or plead out. They can no longer come back to try to say anything or present any evidence against what's going on. And there were a lot of those. Let's not forget that. Okay. Defense attorneys, they'll aggressively use this tactic. They do it all the time on all cases like this. They go after that particular area and say, hey, they don't have the they don't have the proof. And some of these people have already plead out. They've already taken the quote unquote hush money. They've already been paid their litigation. And so it has been complete. It's been finished. It's no longer admissible in court. So that is one of the biggest factors in that. Thanks, Chris. Chris says, we need Big Sarge to voice our outrage. Well, I'm trying my best, my buddy. I'm trying my best, my brother. And last but not least, the justice system is really not built for speed, especially when we talk about government agencies, okay? It's built for proof, all right? And proof at that level, I mean, it's not easy to establish, no matter how suspicious they look. Like I said, at the end of the day, the burden of proof ends up on the defense, or not the defense, the prosecution. And the prosecution has to be able to supply that beyond a reasonable doubt. And if they can't do that, if there's too many loopholes, if there's too many questions and so on and so forth, then those things don't go any further. And that's very unfortunate because there's a lot of victims out there that could feel the brunt of this as we move forward. And Chris says there shouldn't be any, sorry about that. Chris said there shouldn't be any plea deals when children are involved. I agree with that 100%. I'm not sure the specifics of some of those plea deals, but I'll look into it and give you an update by next show. Gypsy says, not to mention those who, with something on the Clintons over the years, have wound up dead or suicided. Yeah, that's true. That is true. That's a hypothesis. That's a conspiracy theory. However, we know a lot of people have been disappeared, so to speak. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, doing me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up. I need all them thumbs ups that I can get because it pushes my algorithm up. Share it out. Invite people to get in here. I only see 5 people in here. Last week we had 10 or 15. Let's get everybody in here. Okay. Share it out to everybody. All right. So segment 3, why people think something is off. Controlled pressure. Okay. This is kind of what we've all been feeling. All right. Scale versus outcome type thing. You know, the global trafficking operation is quote unquote alleged. Okay. We haven't had any definitive proof, even though we know it's out there. You know it. And I know it. We've seen evidence all over the place of it, but nobody has come out to actually say that. We've actually had task forces dedicated to human trafficking. But global trafficking is something different. It's something on a bigger, broader scale. And this was part of this Epstein pedophile island, as they call it. Yet only a small number of prosecutions have occurred, even though we know this is on a global scale. A very small number worldwide, even in America here, a very small number of these actually have been prosecuted. Okay. Not only that, this is a very, like we talked about before, very high profile associations here. The names of influential individuals appear in records across the board in the emails. I've seen them. Even some of you have seen some of the emails that have been out there on the internet sphere. We've seen some of the names on the logbook. We've also seen the evidence when they went through Epstein Island itself. There's a lot of stuff floating out there, and you just got to discern which is truth and which is fact and which is fiction. But the factual stuff out there, you could see it. But yet here we are again, wondering where the hell's the prosecution? You know, Barbara says definitely no plea deals, especially with kids. I see that every day. That's true, Barbara. That is true. Yep. But few have faced criminal charges tied to any of these cases or this particular case that we're talking about. Very few. Two that I can think of that America has prosecuted and thrown in jail, and one convicted, one suicided, so to speak. Not to mention the related documents on this. Court documents release often contain heavy redactions. Well, we've seen that with this big 3 million terabyte or whatever they call 3 million megabyte email / videos / pictures, and even everything was redacted. I mean, it's gotten to the point where it was just ridiculous to try to even look at anything or try to figure anything out, because all you seen was a black spot, black spot, black spot, black spot. Everywhere it was redacted. And those, I believe that if you're going to show something and they use it in the guise of national security, come on, guys. If you release something and you redact it in the guise of national security, then you shouldn't release it. Okay. I believe there should be a non-redacted version of the Epstein files. I really do believe there should be one released, and so on and so forth. But Gypsy says, have any in America been prosecuted other than Epstein and Maxwell? No, not that I know of, not that I have seen. The Prince in England was, but I mean, that's not America. I'm talking about American here in America. We haven't prosecuted anybody. Okay. So the fourth point in this is Epstein's death. Okay. Let's make no mistake about it. It occurred in federal custody under unusual circumstances. A whole minute and a half to 2 minutes of that video was destroyed, was gone. Where did it go? And where did the body go? There was no autopsy done that we've seen. And I'll double verify that. Where was what happened to it? What happened to all the question? Where was the, what happened to the video? We still don't know. Nobody knows to this day. Not to mention there was a lot of weird circumstances around that. The guards even had some weird stuff around. Hey, Kevin, what's up? About time you get your ass in here. Show's almost over. But anyhow, the court documents, things of that nature, they like I said, they release all those heavy redactions, and this fuels public suspicion. I mean, this is why we think something is off. All right. This is all this controlled pressure that the government is putting on everybody and saying, oh, you don't have nothing to worry about. There weren't kids being, blankety blank blank. There weren't kids being eaten. Nothing happened. Just look over here. We're doing this. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Yep. Same thing. Every single time. Somebody needs to hold it. Somebody needs to be held accountable every single time. This is what happens. I don't care what administration it is. And listen, I'm not here to pound Trump into the sand. All right, I'm not here to pound any administration in the sand. I'm just here for accountability. I am sick and tired, just like everybody else in America, not only voting for the lesser of two evils. I'm tired of that. That's a whole nother show. We'll talk about that at another time. I'm sick and tired of all the heavily redacted stuff saying that there's nothing there. I'm sick and tired of not knowing what happened and why people of power aren't brought to justice. Because by God, if it was you or if it was me, guess what? We sure to hell would have, I don't know why my camera just zoomed up there. We sure as hell would have been brought to justice on that, okay? And I'm not sure why my camera zoomed up. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so, all right, let's see if this. So here we are. Well, we'll just roll with it for now. Okay. It ain't one thing, it's another. I got this new Ozbot. I'm still learning how to take care of it and stuff. But let's look at Epstein's death. It was widely reported that it was an institutional failure. Okay. It was it occurred in federal custody under unusual circumstances. Okay. And let's not mistake the let's also understand and not mistake that there's still no answer on that. There's still no answer whatsoever. Okay. So it's just, it's something that we're all kind of ticked off about and pissed off about. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, we may never know what is happening or what may happen with the Epstein files. We may never find out. That is a huge possibility. Sorry about that. I'm adjusting it a little bit here while I'm talking. Okay. And then you don't have to jump to conclusions to recognize the gap in this. Okay. The scale of what was described doesn't seem to match any scale of accountability whatsoever. We aren't having or holding anybody accountable. Okay. So let's understand that. All right. So let's segue in to segment 4. The bigger issue. All right. Now this is the differentiator. If I could say that word 5 times fast, I'd be good. All right. This is the broader theme of it. All right. The perception is that it's a very unequal justice. Public belief that wealth and influence affects outcomes. We know this. Okay. Gypsy even says they're such an arrogant bunch that they say they have no right or business to know what they do. We have no right or business to know what they do. And that's true. That is true. That is 100% true. People don't, and people are scared. They're very influential. They're some of the most powerful people in governments, not only American governments, some of the most powerful people in the world. Okay. They are the movers and shakers of our global leadership. Careers, reputations, and political consequences are all involved in this. We know. We've seen Pam Bondi, what she said. All right. The reason why we don't release all of this is because it'll be quite damaging to our government as we know it. However it was said, I'm paraphrasing, of course. But so what? Let it destroy our government if it does that. Fire everybody that's associated. Do another midterm election, vote new people in there, check their background, and do everything that you can to get good people in there to give a shit about this country and its way of life and who we are as a nation. But the Dow's up 50%. Yeah, there you go, Kevin. The Dow's up 50%. Ooh, yay. Agencies, and not only that, institutional protection. Okay? Agencies often protect themselves, all right, from these failure narratives, as we've seen with this administration. We've seen with the Biden administration, every administration before that, including Obama, Reagan, all the way back to probably our founding fathers. Who knows? There was some type of drama going on even back then. Okay. But the thing about it is agencies always protect themselves from these failure narratives. Okay. Mistakes are minimized. They're not spotlighted. Look over here. Like this administration, we'll start a war so everybody forgets about Epstein. Look where we're at. Gas prices are up. Again, that's a whole nother show. And we've talked about that before. And guess who pays for it? Like I said before, you do. I do. Media dynamics. We all know they own the media. All right. The only media that they don't own is independent media. And even some of them own independent media. Look at Fraud Gino. Look at Fraud Gino. You know, you have people in power, all right, that are running countries, that are building world economies, that have billions and trillions of dollars in their back pocket. They have power absolute. And they own the media, all the mainstream. I mean, really, you can't trust Fox. Where are you going to go? You can't even trust some of the quote unquote lesser media conglomerates like OAN and Newsmax and so on and so forth, because they got their own agendas as well. They don't report unbiased information. They're biased. Any media outlet that you go to and they're biased on one opinion and one opinion only is not journalism. They're not the press. They're not media. That's probably a CIA op or some type of operation to just get your public opinion to go in that direction. True journalism is when you report the facts. You report the truth no matter what. You don't have to toe the Democrat line. You don't have to toe the Republican line. You don't have to toe the whatever party you belong to. That's not journalism. That's not what a free press is. A free press isn't owned by all of these conglomerates. A free press isn't owned by all these power players in the world. A free press is exactly what it means and what it says and what it is. It's free to report exactly what's going on and to tell you the truth no matter what. And I think we've gotten away from that. You're right, Gypsy. It's propaganda. Some of it is government-fed propaganda. It certainly is. Yep. And Curtis, thank you for joining us. New face, I appreciate you joining us here. If you need to tell me you are fair and balanced, well, I am. Why am I not? Give me a good reason why I'm not. Okay, there you go, Chris. You're unleashed. Get him. Why am I not? Because I have reported facts. I've reported nothing but the truth. I've given both sides of the coin, not just one side of the coin. It's all been unbiased. And for me, Fox News. Okay, I apologize, Curtis. All right, apologize. And for me, since I'm on that rant anyhow, I'm just going to continue on. And for me, it's important that more people get to see things like this. And more people get to see even independent journalists like this that report things and report the truth. You know, you have to report the truth. You have to report, and you have to be unbiased, man. Because if you're not unbiased and you're out there spewing your rhetoric, you're just another talking head. That's basically all you are. You're not the free press. So we know, and the final thing is, we know they control the media, and that's why I go to independent media. I try to look at what independent media sources are unbiased and try to report the truth. That's right, Chris. We the people, we need to stand up. That's for sure. I agree 100%. And Gypsy says that's what they advertise as fair and balanced. And she's talking about Fox News, but they're not. They're not fair and balanced. None of the mainstream media conglomerates are fair and balanced. I mean, this is bigger than one man. Okay, this everything is bigger than one man. It's about whether the system works the same for everyone, not just the elites, not just the deep state, not just the New World Order, whatever you want to call it. not the power players. It works for everyone. And I think that's where we are failing as a nation, not only as a nation, but we're failing as a world to understand that we have the power. We are the ones that voted you in. You work for us at the end of the day. I preach that every single show. And justice is not about just what happens. It's about what the public believes happens. And we don't need that anymore. That's what the media is in a nutshell. It's, what do they say? Court of public opinion. So I've given 4 segments, ladies and gentlemen, on this whole thing with Jeffrey Epstein. We know something is going on. All right. We know it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out, you know? And it's funny because when the government redirects you, or even not only the government, when the press redirects you in that direction to get you away from listening to what's going on over here, that's when you got to raise eyebrows. Okay. That's when you got to start questioning the narrative. And Gypsy says they all think they're above the law, and until we take the power back and make them answer for their crimes, that's not going to change. That is 100% irrefutably correct. Thank you, Gypsy, for that. I 100% agree with that. And I agree with you, Kevin, as well. Bongino did sell out. That's why I call him Fraud Gino. I give him hell every single day on his Twitter account. So at the end of the day, this isn't about speculation. It's about accountability, and we talked about this. The facts tell us there was a system. The conviction of Maxwell confirms that. But the unanswered questions remain. Not because people want drama, but because people want consistency. We as a nation want consistency. If justice is truly equal, it has to be equal across the board, no matter what rank, file, no matter where you fall in. And until the public feels that way, until the public feels that that standard has been met, the story's not going to go anywhere anytime soon, because we, the people, are going to keep bringing it back up over and over again until something is done. The story doesn't end with Epstein. It starts with the question, who else should have been held accountable? Before I take off, I want to close with a few things. Okay? We have pretty much seen now that no one politician has kept their campaign promises. At the end of the day, this comes down to something bigger. All right? It's bigger than one case. It's bigger than one man. It's bigger than one presidency. It comes down, like I said before, to that accountability. A lot of Americans were told America first, that we were going to see shift, less foreign entanglement, less wars, fewer broken promises, leadership that actually put the American people first ahead of everything. And that hasn't happened. But when you step back and look at it honestly, where the hell is it? Why are we sending billions to Ukraine? Why are we shooting $15 million rockets to shoot down a $10 drone? Maybe a $10,000 drone, but still the point stands. Where is it? When we're told there would be no new wars, that we wouldn't repeat the same cycle, what we saw going on back from even the Bush era, remember? No new wars. Bush Sr., I believe, said that. Endless conflict, endless spending. New budget proposal, $1.7 trillion. That's this administration promised there will be no new spending. And yet here we are again, watching tensions rise, watching involvement expand, and asking the same question, how is this any different? It's not. We were told the truth would come out about Epstein. We were told on the networks, or the people that we were told that they were going to get the people that were involved in this. They were going to bring them to justice, that the system would be exposed. But years later, here we are. What do we actually have? Not one major conviction and a whole lot of unanswered questions. That's not accountability. That's a damn pause button. And this isn't about being anti-Trump or pro anyone. This is about, as I said before, consistency. If you campaign on disruption, if you campaign on draining the swamp, putting America first, then the results need to match the rhetoric. You need to damn well put your money where your mouth is instead of putting your foot in it. Because American people, we're not dumb. We're not stupid. Even though you think we are, we're not. They see when promises don't line up, and they see when outcomes aren't exactly what was promised. And here's the reality. Whether it's Trump, whether it's past administrations, or even whoever comes next, these people work for us, not the other way around. They hold us accountable every single day through laws, through taxes, through regulations. It's time we start doing them the same way, start holding them to the same damn standard. Not emotionally, not blindly, but with clear eyes and a simple question. Did you do what you said you were going to do? Did you do what you said you ran your campaign on? Did you keep your promises? And if the answer is no, it's on us as Americans to demand better. This is how the country is supposed to work. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you showing up tonight. Please do us a favor, share the show, okay? We can't do this without you. I need you to put some thumbs up down there. I need you to subscribe. We need to hit 1,000 subscribers so I can open up a lot more broadcasting opportunities for you here on YouTube. You can't beat free, ladies and gentlemen. You just can't do it. And unfortunately, this is where I have to be right now, and I need your help to get me out there. So salutes to you guys and girls out there. Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you got something out of tonight. And listen, share the show, okay? God bless each and every one of you. And again, salutes, and have a great rest of the evening.
This is the Big Sarge